So today I am going to share in next 15-20 minutes, I am going to share that what kind of incredible diversity of turtles we have. So this is a beautiful turtle which you can see in my back. This is called red-crowned roof turtle. You will be very, very surprised to know that we have less than 500 adults are surviving on a single river which is called Chambal. So Chambal River flows through 3 different states. And can you believe that only 500 turtles, and before they were abundant through entire Gangetic plain and also part of Brahmaputra plain. So the condition is not as good as we know. So very important thing that turtles, they share intricate linkage with the global ecosystem and environment. And they walked this earth for 200 million years. And they survived well after their contemporaries, the dinosaurs. So this particular turtle, why I picked today is that, so this turtle I started my career with. So actually, I am from a small village along India and Nepal border, very close to Katania Ghat Wildlife Sanctuary. So in 9 years of age, I acquired 2 little turtles. I'm not saying that everyone should, since you should not keep any wildlife as pet at your home, but at that point I did not know. But thanks to those turtles that today I have very deep connection with the turtles and turtle conservation. So my little village that was blessed with lots of rivers and wetlands, as you can see. So I used to go around and look for turtles in the wetlands and the rivers. Those were all across my village. So here I started, with those turtles, I started looking them carefully that what they do, what they eat, how they bask and everything. I designed their little enclosure myself. So as a kid, that really impacted me. And since then, and then also, I sometimes that drew my grandmother's wrath, especially when I cut her brand new mosquito net to fish for turtle, to trap more turtles from the wild. So with that, I started my grooming love, that was kind of compelled me to study more and more turtles. I started asking people that what should I do to become a turtle biologist. I wanted to, at that point I did not know what a biologist means, but I read a little bit about that. I wanted to do something more for turtles. And I want to definitely learn more. And I wanted to have a degree. At that point I did not know that why I wanted to have, but definitely means some kind of advance, so I can be a kind of expert in that particular field. Thankfully, I did my master's in environmental science, and somehow, at that point, there was no wildlife science. I'm talking 2 decades back. Very few wildlife courses were all through the country. So I started working with the wildlife environmental science, and in environmental science especially, I started looking into what I can do for the wildlife in the local area. So when I moved to Lucknow, so there is a river called Gomti River. So I started working with the turtles of Gomti River. And there I did a project, and I was privileged to be mentored by a noted herpetologist at that point, Mr. Dhruv Jyoti Basu. He is no more now. But he kind of gave me some insights and also honed my skills, those who are needed to do turtle conservation. And at that point, I realized that turtles are much more in trouble than I thought earlier. So one species of turtle, which is very close to the species I showed you before, that got completely extirpated from the Gomti River. And also during my study, I observed that there are several species. Those are really extensively hunted for the meat trade. And that fueled my further interest to do more for turtle conservation in the country. So when you see the Asia turtle crisis, so Asia turtle crisis is essentially there are lots of people again don't know that means most of the turtles are in trouble, and especially the Asian ones. So Southeast Asian countries, they want to hunt our turtles, they want to poach our turtles, they want to illegally smuggle them to their country and make them soup, make traditional Chinese medicines, and also keep them in their houses as pets. So Asian turtle crisis is actually a situation where lots of turtles were hunted 2 decades back. And as part of that, IUCN, the Nature Conservation Union, which controls and study all the wildlife and the nature on the country, on the planet, they actually started a program which started calling itself Turtle Survival Alliance. So Turtle Survival Alliance actually that came in the existence in 2001, and with the only one goal to protect India's turtles, not only India but other countries, but India turtles were really in the bad shape at that point. I started working with Turtle Survival Alliance in 2004, and at that point, I was already selected as the officer in the Border Security Force. So that decision met lots of opposition from my parents when I started convincing them that, look, I want to do more in the wildlife conservation and in turtle conservation. And I turned down that opportunity and I started working more for turtle conservation in that particular region, which is northern India. So I started working with the first image I shown you that a red crowned roof turtle, and this particular species I started working as part of my PhD on Chambal River. Chambal is an 800-kilometer long river, and at the point I started working on Chambal River, so that was and most of you know that Chambal is very infamous due to its bandits. But Chambal also provide very good habitat for the turtles, for the crocodiles, the dolphins, otters, and different other river biodiversity. And it's only riverine sanctuary on this earth. At that point, as a young researcher, there were lots of advices not to go in Chambal sanctuary due to threats from the bandits and stuff, but I decided, no, I should be studying Chambal for my PhD. So I started working in Chambal River, and by that time, I already resigned from Border Security Force. I actually did not take that job and did that. So the first thing we did, we surveyed the entire river, that what is the problem? What kind of problems turtles are facing there? And with that surveys, we found that only there are, in 800-kilometer river, there are only 18 habitats. And when I say habitats, only 3-kilometer long sand banks. Those were still intact, and then some turtles were still coming to nest on those habitats. So there was immediate attention was needed to protect those habitats, and the rest all habitats were definitely they were under sand mining, riverside agriculture, and different other, fishing and different other threats. So those 18 habitats, me and my team decided that we have to protect every single nest from those habitats. And in last 15 years, when you see, so every single nest we protected from those 18 habitats and brought all the eggs to a riverside hatchery. And you can ask me, why riverside hatchery? Why not a safer place? So turtle sex is determined by the environmental temperature. So if you go down, that means down than 30 degrees centigrade, so most of your hatchlings are going to be male. But if you go higher, so they are going to be females. So this is the reason we had to mimic the environmental temperature, and we could not move away from the Chambal River. And that is the reason we faced lots of other problems. Sometimes, like, since our field assistant, we all had the flashlights to see that what is happening and just to manage the hatchery programs in like selected locations. And in the night, there were like bandit movements, and they did not like us shining the torches and stuff, even our presence, since they don't like government people there at all, since you could inform about their movement and stuff. And we faced lots of problems. But I'm proud to share that in last 15 years, we started this program in 2005, and in last 15 years, we protected over 10,000 nests and returned 150,000 babies safely back to the river. Not only this species, but another closely related species. And also within the sanctuary, due to the permit-related issue, we could not go out with all the animals, so we had to make a little enclosure within the sanctuary and keep the babies and rear them to a certain stage so they are less vulnerable to the predation. Predation from the crocodiles, predation from the birds, predation from other soft-shell turtles, so we had to raise them to a certain level. So this also we did within the sanctuary limit. And we faced lots of problems, and I'm again proud to tell that this program is still running. Some part of the program has been taken by the government, and it's kind of a government mandate now that they want to, everyone wants to, all 3 states wants to protect this species of turtles on the river. But how, we wanted to do more with, we wanted to understand that what else is happening in the Gangetic Plain. So other thing what we did is we started connecting and networking with the farmer turtle poachers. Since most of these people, those are sitting in this here in the picture, they were all involved in the turtle poaching in that area. So we were protecting the nest, we were releasing babies, everything was good, but how to stop these guys not taking animals from the river? So there we started networking with them, and after long negotiations, they agreed to come to a certain area where we negotiated that, okay, some of you can still work with us legally, since earlier they were doing illegal work and collecting turtles and other wildlife. I don't want to discuss about other wildlife, but they were all collecting turtles and sending them to different parts of Eastern India as well as Southeast Asia. So they all came, and I'm very, very proud to tell you that most of them are still working with us as the hatchery guards. They help us to protect the turtles in a different landscape. And thanks to them, as a researcher, as a biologist, we have very, very limited knowledge and understanding that about anything, any wild species. And they are much better than all of us. And due to their information, we know that where the last and remnant turtle populations are surviving. So that was kind of a very innovative approach what we took in turtle conservation. And now there are other projects are also taking help from such poachers and illegal informants and things. Those were earlier giving information to the wrong group. Now all the information is coming to the right group for the protection and conservation of turtles. Another species is this, since I was specifically told to talk about, 3 species, those were brought from the extinction back in the country. And this is, again, very magnificent species which lives. You imagine Brahmaputra landscape is water everywhere. But in 2000, this species was officially extinct. Very few individuals were still, and we did not know. Earlier, I told you that there are 500 individuals based on the nesting survey, but Brahmaputra landscape, we could not survey the entire Brahmaputra. But very, very few animals left on the river itself, and what we cited in our survey. In Kaziranga National Park, there was only 1 individual we saw in our survey. But thankfully, there was, and we are also convincing everyone that, look, how these individuals are incredible. And they connect India and Bangladesh parts of the Sundarban. And that was, again, tigers were, earlier it was tigers, and the forest department was talking a little bit, and then they lost the interest and stuff. And later, when these turtles started going and started transversing the parts of Bangladesh, Sundarban started coming back. So both administrations had to come together to work together to protect this iconic species. And now Bangladesh also taking lead, and they are also going to release some turtles from their facilities, since they are also doing the similar breeding program to conserve this particular species. This is monitoring photo, so I just wanted to show you that how hard in this area, since it's like, every time you have to be on the boat. You can't just step down of a boat. Tigers are everywhere. And most of you know that tigers do attack the humans, as well as the saltwater crocodiles. So with these two main predators in the park, you'll have to be all the time on a boat to understand the natural history and ecology of particular turtle species. So from here, where we want to go? So as I said that we have 29 species, and 70% of them are endangered. So we need all the hands on the deck right now to protect them. So we are working in 5 turtle priority areas of the country, and I have showed you the photo from only 3. But there are 2 more. But due to paucity of time, I can't just tell you the tale of all the turtle species. But we have been partnering with the organizations, with the forest department, and signing a vision plan. So we came up with this idea that, okay, let's develop a vision plan, make it a government mandate. So lots of people are going to join the fight, actually, So, and we can probably work together toward bringing the species back from the extinction. And with that, we need to step up in terms of responding the illegal trade, which is the biggest threat to the Indian turtle populations. Not only the freshwater, but the sea turtles, all the turtle species, as well as the wildlife. So we'll have to do something about that. But whatever we do, there are lots of challenges, but every breath we take, whatever we do, will be there to bring these beautiful species back from the extinction. Thank you so much.